Lewis Hart for The Ring magazine. Always a pleasure to be joined once again with Andy Lee, this time in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. First things first, Andy, how's things? How are you?
Good. I just arrived today and got a little bit of rest and straight into action here with you guys.
Yeah. I feel like I've spent this whole summer interviewing you. It's fight after fight. It's been such a busy period for you. How have you found everything? Because you're focusing sort of straight onto the next fight.
Yeah, it's been extremely busy, hasn't it? But it's good to be busy. Keeps yourself distracted, and there's always something to focus on. And as soon as the one fight's over, you have to go straight to the next one, and almost each fight is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, you know. So it's a new challenge. Yeah, I will need to take a rest at some stage, but right for now we'll keep going.
Yeah. How would you describe 2025 for yourself? You know, you've obviously had a great win with Hamza Shiraz, obviously Whitaker's win against Liam Cameron, Paddy's great performance against Crocker in the first fight that obviously is going to run back in a few weeks' time, and Parker's win over Bacoli. I don't think I forgot anything else there. But how would you so far describe how successful 2025 has been for yourself?
It's been incredible. And it's an amazing run, isn't it? And I have to appreciate it myself, even though I try. I must try to take the time to appreciate it, because, like I said, you're always looking at the next one. And as soon as Hamza was done, I was thinking about Paddy, and getting him what way we're going to prepare for this fight and what we're going to do differently. And it couldn't have gone. It could not have gone any better, really. So I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful to the boxers for training hard, for believing in me, and for believing in themselves, and also their teams, their supporting teams. It's not just me, and maybe I'm getting all the praise, but each of these guys have great teams around them, and they're just as important as I am.
Definitely echo everyone else's sort of thoughts and opinions of how successful it's been for yourself. I want to touch on, obviously, why we're in Riyadh. Moses Itauma takes on Dillian Whyte in a bit of a crossroads fight tomorrow night. How do you break this down, and what are your thoughts on it as we approach, less than 24 hours before they square off in the ring?
Like, the beautiful thing about these fights is that no one really knows how it's going to go, and that is everyone probably. Moses the favourite, everyone leaning towards him. He's got youth, activity, size, speed, probably. He seems to have nearly all the attributes in his favour. But one he doesn't have, which is a very key one, is experience. So the questions going into the fight is, how good is Moses really? He is very good, but how good is he right now in terms of against a top level guy? What does Dillian Whyte have left? And I'm sure we'll have some answers to those questions after Saturday. Like, you can't really pick against Moses going into the fight, but if it goes past 4 rounds, then I think it's anybody's fight.
When it comes to experience with Moses, he's shared the ring with some of the very best, Anthony Joshua, Dubois, Fury, it speaks itself. But how important is that experience in fight that outweighs that experience in sparring, if that makes sense?
Completely different things. They're completely different. The sparring is just practice. And usually when you're in a training camp, so there's the fatigue from previous days and what you're trying to work on in the sparring, and but Moses has become a bit of a legend on the sparring circuit. Yeah. I had him here in Riyadh, and he sparred Joseph for 2 weeks when Joe was getting ready to fight Zhang. And trust me, they were wars. They were like 4-round wars every spar. And so I know how good he is. Yeah, I've seen him do it at the gym, but it's a different thing in the ring. Obviously, there's the pressure to perform. There's so many different variables when it comes to fighting in a real fight against a live opponent with small gloves, in terms of the comfort and safety of a gym.
Yeah. Does Is timing important for Moses? Because I'll speak to Ben Davison and he'll say, look, no matter anyone or anyone any day, regardless of experience, he'd back Moses. But look, I know you've obviously you've got heavyweights in sort of your stable. But do you think timing is important for Moses, or is it a case of like no matter when he's probably ready to mix it with the best?
Yeah, I think he'll mix it with the best definitely mix it with the best for 6 to 8 rounds. It's just in those later rounds and being so young. But he's got the speed, the footwork, and the IQ as well. He's clever, and he's a bit ruthless too. So, well, he can mix it with everyone. But just getting the experience. Things have been done away in boxing for years because it's the right way to do it. This is a calculated risk, and it will be a great reward should he beat Dillian Whyte. Probably cement himself as a top 10 heavyweight in the world. But there is still a small risk involved.
Yeah. And when it comes to his, I guess, ability as well, when you look at the public opinion of him, if this makes sense of what I'm going to say, do you think is it people rating him, because he asked me this question, but do you think it's a case of people rating him off his ability or his ability at a young age, do you think?
What's the difference?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You said
basically what he might develop into.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got he's still got a lot to learn as well. He can still improve.
I guess it's easy for people to get carried away then when you...
Yeah, like what is he really? You get all the hype is he's beaten guys who should definitely have beaten and knocked out. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we live in this day and age it's all hype and criticism, one or the other. You're praising you like you're the best thing in the world, or you're absolutely shite. Yeah. So I would say he still has things to prove because he's beaten guys who he should have beaten and beaten them the way he should have done it. So he's ticked all the boxes in that aspect, and he's looked good doing it. So people, I guess I'm getting excited now as well.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I can see why, but even this fight on Saturday, if he blows Dillian Whyte out of there, then still it's hard to know because Dillian Whyte is probably, that could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but he's so fast, Moses, and punches so hard. One or two punches and early in the fight could happen. You know what I mean? He could flash get Dillian Whyte, but listen, he's ticking all the boxes for a 20-year-old lad. He's very impressive.
Definitely. So I guess as you say there, like when the conversation is like talked about Usyk or Itauma fighting Usyk soon, you think that is potentially sort of out of proportional way too thing for him?
I think he could fight any of them. Does he win them? He styles, and how they match up. But I think he can compete with everybody, especially for 6 to 8 rounds. And he might knock you out before then. It's just in those later rounds getting that ring experience for him at this stage at 20 years old.
Yeah, interesting. I wanted to move on and talk about the stable. Paddy Donovan has a massive rematch against Lewis Crocker less than a month away now. With it less than a month away, well deep into camp, how excited are you for Winter Park on September the 13th?
I don't know if I'm excited. I'm just focused on the job. It's not a difficult position to be. It's not a difficult. The situation is, when you think back to the fight, you think it was very one-sided. But I've rewatched it a few times, and the fight was close in the early rounds, and Crocker was swinging, an inch. Paddy was slipping on by an inch, but had one of those landed, it could have been a very different fight. So. Paddy has to be focused, and he has to be on the ball, and he has to earn the right to win the title. These things aren't given, you know what I mean? Even though he was pretty much winning the first fight, all the way until that final round. So he has to earn the right, and he is putting in the work, working very hard, and we'll see. He's just trying to. We're focused on the job. And what I was going to go back to the situation is that, Paddy's Paddy's beaten Crocker heavyweight except getting his hand raised. I guess he just has to be professional and it would take the emotion out of it and just go about the job and box like he always boxes. I think if he boxes just like he boxes, no more, no less, he'll win.
I guess that's the thing with Paddy, and it's been the claim, I guess, from Crocker's team or public opinion, was probably like in that first fight, regardless of what you thought of the referee or lack of discipline from it, he almost sort of let himself down, I guess, with a disqualification. So is there an importance when it comes to the rematch to show that maturity of almost it being on a bigger stage to show almost a more professional and bigger head?
Yeah, I think so. He just lost control.
Paddy or the ref?
Yeah, Paddy.
Paddy,
yeah. No, it was due to Marcus McDonald's performance, really. I've watched it back, as I said, a few times, the fight, and it was very one-sided, the judging. And Crocker did his job, in terms of playing it up a little bit. Billy Nelson was shouting outside the ring. That's what they're supposed to do, though. That's their job. That's not their job, but it's what they should do in that situation, I guess. But he just needs to keep his cool, calm. And I said to him, be ruthless, go and get the job done.
Is it hard not to be? I know he can't be, but is it hard not to be overconfident? Because I know you said the first early rounds were successful, but they were close. But there was a lot of success with that fight for Paddy. So important, I guess, that he has that sort of mentality, saying like, look, I almost have to prepare for almost a different Crocker, regardless of how it might be.
And he probably, Crocker will be better. He must be better. He knows he has to be better, so he will be better. So I'll say I just see some footage of him. What struck me, Lewis Crocker, when I see him at the press conference recently, was he was quite heavy. Looked good 80 kilo.
Yeah.
I'm saying, and now he's going to make 60. And I see some footage of him recently online. Still looks a little bit heavy, so I think that's a battle for him. I think he's got that battle to make, and then he's got to try and perform. I think it's one thing being in the gym and sparring when you're 10 kilos over your fight weight, but then when you have to make the weight and then try and perform, I think it's a different thing.
Lewis Crocker's brought in long-term rival of Paddy Donovan, Kieran Malloy, in camp. I'm pretty sure you was there when Kieran and Paddy boxed as an amateur.
Yeah.
And added edge to the fight, you could say.
That doesn't really. He has to bring in somebody, doesn't he? Yeah. Has to bring in some sparring partners. Cyrus Patterson there as well. So they're two good young lads. Kieran and Cyrus, that'll give him good sparring. So I hope he is getting the best of sparring, the best of everything, and preparing, and comes with his best he can do.
Mm-hmm. On the same night as that, over in Las Vegas, Canelo Alvarez takes on Terence Crawford. What are your thoughts on that sort of super fight, I guess you could say?
Yeah, what a fight. Very hard to pick a winner, isn't it? Very hard to pick a winner because, like every good fight, no one really knows the skill and competitiveness and ring craft of Crawford, or you can say the same things about Canelo, but just he has that size. And but I see Crawford in New York when Hamza fought Berlanga, and he doesn't look too small anymore. He's filled out a lot. He looks quite big. It's a great fight. I think they're equally matched in skill, and it's going to be one of the best fights. It's going to, like, when you see how skillful both fighters are, the tricks they have, and how they fight. It should be one of the best fights of the last, I don't know how many years. It should be up there with the best fights we can remember.
Yeah. Does the weight putting on for Crawford almost be a negative factor when people talk about his movement, when you pack on that weight?
Nah. I don't. People say all that, and when heavyweights try to lose weight, heavyweights slim down so they can be more, so they can move more. I don't think you lose the weight. I don't think you can move. I think you can get moved a lot easier. Weight's good. Weight's good. Like, that's why everyone's trying to get an advantage. you'll be stronger. You'll just have more of everything. I think. I don't think it's going to affect Crawford's weight.
Okay. But because a lot of people have sort of their perceptions on social media and whatever, and I see a lot of people feeling like the only factor for Canelo would be size. Do you think that there's more factors in the arsenal for Canelo than just size?
Yeah. Great jab, skillful body puncher, counter puncher, and whatever about people kind of, I don't know, people are not giving him the respect because of his last performance, but trust me, he'll turn up, and he's a competitor too. That's the great thing about these guys. They're winners, and it's one. I can't wait to see that fight.
Yeah, me too. Andy, always good to chat to you. Always a pleasure, and I'm sure it won't be too long since catching up sometime soon. Thank you, mate. Cheers.
Yeah.